Hello and welcome to another Monday how-to. Today I'll show you how I made this pair of lamps from a set of stainless steel valves that came from an old hydroelectric plant. But it's basically a lamp making tutorial. The basic process was this: stabilize the valves so they don't tip over, figure out a way to attach standard lamp parts, and then attach standard lamp parts. Let's get started. The first thing I did was call up my friend Drew and ask him if he would weld some stainless steel bases for these lamps. See, to weld stainless steel, you usually want to use TIG, and I'm not a very good welder, and since I wanted these lamps to be nice, it's better to ask a professional to do it, and faster, since I don't have an extra to make a mistake with and throw out. So he cut some pieces of stainless steel and welded them together to make bases that sort of matched the rest of the valve, and then they were nice and sturdy. The rest I did myself. The lamp fixture has to attach to the center threaded rod in the valve, but that piece was a really hard junction to make. I had some pieces of tubing I could fit down into the top of the stem, but it didn't fit snugly, and then that's not the right size for the lamp. So I mixed up some 2-part epoxy that was gonna hold really firm, and I glued the thinner rods into that hole on the top of the valves. While it was setting up, I made sure to adjust it to try to get it to be straight up and down. And then once that was dry, I put the regular lamp rod, that's the threaded rod that is a standard size for lamp fixtures, over top of that, and then I filled it up with epoxy. So it was a rod and then some epoxy and then the other rod. And again, I tried to make sure that was as straight up and down as possible and checked for leaks while it was drying. So that's great. Now I've got the lamp upright, glued in place, easy peasy. The rest of it is just how you build a standard lamp. There is one special part that I had to get, and that's that the socket itself has what's called a side out. Instead of having the lamp cord go straight up the pipe into the socket, it has a hole on the side for the cord to come out and down, and that's important for making lamps where you can't cut a hole to route the wire all the way through. And obviously I couldn't cut a hole in this really hardened steel threaded valve rod, and then where would the cord come out anyway? So it was important to get a socket with a side out, and I found these at a local lighting store in New York City, but you can also order them online. There's so many cool cloth-covered electrical cords available now. You can get them in almost any color. I picked up 12 feet of brown fabric-covered cord for these lamps because it kind of matches the shades. To attach all the parts and build the lamp out, you need a lamp harp. That's the round part that supports the shade from below the socket. These shades called for an 8-inch harp, so I ordered that online. The little nuts that screw onto the threaded rod to support the harp, and then the socket itself, and that has a set screw. And then on the top of the harp, you put the harp back on, you put the shade on the harp, and then the finial is the little top piece that screws on and attaches the shade to the rest of the lamp. To wire to the socket, you put the cord through the side out and then strip off the outer sheathing, twist the copper stranded wire inside, and wind each wire around one of the terminals on the socket. You want to wind it clockwise because then when you crank down on it with a screwdriver, it'll just make the wind tighter instead of undoing the wrap. Then wire up the plug really simply by inserting the wire through the plastic part, then stripping the inner 2 wires. My plug had a strain relief mechanism inside, which was just a little notch that the wire went through first, and that's so that if you yank on the wire to unplug the lamp, it is less likely to pull those electrical connections away and cause a short or break the plug. So I again wrapped those clockwise, cranked down with the screwdriver, put the plug back together, and it's ready to test. So I put a bulb in the lamp and fired it up. These vintage-inspired fiberglass lampshades came from an Etsy seller. I requested a custom order, they came in awesome, totally beautiful. So one of the fun things about these lamps is that the valve still works, so you can unplug it, pull this cord out, and then crank the handle, which will move the opening up and down and also raise and lower the lampshade quite considerably. So that's a fun feature of the original valves to have preserved. So the valves are basically free. The most expensive things were the custom welding for the bases and the shades, I think well worth the money, and everything else was just a couple bucks here and there. So I'm really satisfied with the way these turned out, and I hope you can glean something for your own lamp projects. I wrote an instructable about this project so you can see things a little more close up and click links over to the different products I bought online, and that link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel for more videos. I put out how-tos on Mondays and vlogs every Thursday. Have a great week.